Hi guys, John the Firearms Instructor, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is John Johnson. I'm the owner and operator of a firearms training facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. If you're one of our subscribers, thank you from the bottom of my heart for following this small family-owned business through their journey, and we truly appreciate it. Today, I had a video yesterday and had some comments about what do I mean by trigger travel. Now, we've done a couple videos on trigger travel, but to simplify it even more for you guys, it's just taking the slack out of it. I want you to think about fishing. I know most of you fish, but some don't. So here we go. If we have a bobber in the water and the trophy fish comes up and grabs your bait and takes your bobber underwater, but you've got slack in the line, you have to take all that slack out before you set the hook. Because if you were to just grab the fishing rod and pull on it, at that point in time, you're not going to catch that fish because there's too much slack. This is the kind of concept I want to get to in engagement of the trigger. Because we talked the other day in regards to don't slap the trigger, don't pull the trigger, press the trigger. Well, now we're going to really show you. I've got two weapons here. Now we're in a closed environment. Both these are going to be checked clear real quick. Glock 19, Taurus G3. All right. Now, there are extreme triggers right here. The Glock, most popular gun in the world, has a stiff trigger. It's a loading trigger. When you start taking this trigger back, it begins to get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And this is why most people, when they shoot a Glock, pull a trigger, because they think they're at the wall. They think they're at the bottom of the trigger when it's going to go bang, and it's got more room to go. And then the Taurus has a double strike capabilities trigger, so it travels way back before it cuts. So I don't know what pistol you have, but in the realm of things, all pistols are the same in theory. Stay with me here. I know there's some guy typing already. They're not all the same. If you think about cars all have tires, rims, windshield wipers, all the standard stuff for every vehicle. That's sort of like a firearm, if you think about it, right? It's got a trigger. It's got a trigger guard. It's got sights. It's got a grip stand. It's got its slide lock. It's got all that stuff like that. Most firearms have that. Man, we're talking semi-automatics, guys. Don't type, oh, what about a revolver? Don't do that. All right. So we want to put what's the difference between A, B, C, and D guns is the trigger. So I'm going to try to show you some travel today. I'm going to keep my hand off this side of the weapon, and I'm going to have it pointed to the camera, and I'm going to bring back the trigger. And as I do, I want you to kind of focus. Johnny, I need you to try to focus in this area right here to see if we can see this travel. And if you're not taking the slack out like I'm taking the slack out, that's probably some of that pulling that's happened to the trigger, if that makes sense. So let me show you the Glock first. This is a Glock 19. We're going to check it, make sure it's unloaded. I'm going to point it in this direction. Mr. Johnson, can you see that pretty well?
Yep, you can hold it right there.
Okay. Now if you look, guys, there's the trigger. I'm going to put my finger on the trigger, and I'm going to bring it back, and I'm just going to load it. See how it's creeping back, guys? Look how much further it's going. That is a perfect trigger pull. Now, do you have to do that in a defensive situation? Absolutely not. Do you have to do that all the time? No, but I need you to understand what manipulation happens when you pull a trigger versus press a trigger. Let's do that again real quick. So the concept, what we're trying to do, and this is where I want you to get your head around, is the cadence that we need to get to. It's like 1, 2, 3. If you think about 1, that's putting your finger on the trigger. 2 is applying pressure. 3 is a weapon cutting. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now that cadence will give you the ability to feel the travel in this trigger. This is something you can do in your bedroom, dry firing. Make sure there's no ammo in the room. And when you dry fire a weapon, you just don't slap the trigger. You just press that trigger as slow as you can. But that cadence makes all the difference in the world. 1, 2, 3. And that weapon stays level at that point in time. All right? So let's grab another pistol. Now, if you know anything about Tauruses, they have a very soft but long trigger, and it's sort of a double strike capabilities. It's one of those things that some people call it double action trigger. I'm not sure if it's that, but it really has a nice trigger. We just got to get all the slack out. So let's do that. This is the G3. I'm going to check it, make sure it was unloaded. It is. I'm going to put my finger on the trigger. You ready, Mr. Johnson? So here we go. We're just going to take the slack out of it first. Now, that's on a wall right there. How far did that travel? Tremendously, right? Then we're going to slowly press the trigger. I'm still applying pressure. I'm still applying pressure until the weapon cuts. All right, let's do that again. Ready, John? Mm-hmm. Now let's do our cadence. 1, 2, 3. And that's kind of what we're looking to do each time that we pick a pistol up. Someone who, like me, that people bring triggers in here all the time, different guns, different things. I have to understand what the trigger's doing before I let the student understand what the trigger's doing. So this is how I grade weapons. By picking it up, racking the slide, bringing it out, get my good grip, get my good stance, and slowly press the trigger until I find the wall or until the weapon cuts. And this tells me how much manipulation the student has to do. If you tried the Glock versus the Taurus, there's a big difference between those two, but in the long run, the Glock's 5.5 pound trigger pull. That's standard. The Taurus, same. But because it has a double and a single, one of those trigger pulls is heavier and one of them's lighter. It's a little complicated, but it's what it is. The nice thing about triggers is that's your hurdle you need to get through. So if you're pulling the trigger and you're pulling low or you're doing anything, I want you to think about a cadence in your head of the 1, 2, 3. Remember, 1 is taking the slack out, 2 is applying pressure, 3 is the weapon cutting. Now if you count that in your head, a lot of people go 1 to 3. They don't go 1, 2, 3. They go 1, 2, 3, and then they're pulling the trigger. Do that cadence a little bit. I think for sure it'll improve your accuracy and it'll keep your sight level. So when you're shooting, trigger travel is a real thing. We got to get our head around it. Guys, if you like what we're doing, and I know you are, don't forget to hit the bell icon, the subscribe, and the like. And every time we upload a video, you guys will be the first to know. A little bit of ad here. We have our swag in our description below. We have some t-shirts and stuff we've put together. We have a Shopify store. There is my Amazon link as well from Amazon store. Some of the products that we show reviews on, it's there as well. And God bless you guys. If you have any comments, please comment. Whether they're good comments or bad comments, we love them. Until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. We'll see you, folks.